What's going on, wonderful people? It's the Bad Wolf Hour. Well, probably won't be an hour. But anyway, I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thank you for chiming in. As always, I'm getting text and blown up. And we are at 91,000 subscribers. Even though they have been, how shall we say, de-subscribing some of you guys, it would be great if you would just make sure that you guys are still subscribed to me. Now we know this is some form of little attack or whatever else, and YouTube says it's part of their whole, well, if people aren't watching you a whole lot, well, why would you unsubscribe them? I don't think that's true. But anyway, so if you guys would be kind, hit that subscribe. Make sure that you're still subscribed because here the truth will not be denied. And if you guys haven't joined me over on Badwolf Unrestricted, my other YouTube channel, please join me over there because over there I get to take the shirt off. Yeah, oh, not here. Not like that. All right. That being said, you've read the title and you decided to watch anyway. So let's get into it. In this particular video, I'm talking about I don't use Chat GPT anymore. Chat GPT was like, you know, your second girlfriend. Had some fun. You learn from each other. You don't wish them any negative. It's time to move on. But let's talk about exactly why. My experience with chat was interesting. It was, I guess, let me turn on my light. Oh, make sure I got pants on. Okay, cool. There we go. Illuminate. So I learned a lot from chat, and it was a very bitter breakup at the end. Um, Hold on. I got some things open, and it's draining my resources. One second. Okay, that's one of them. All right. Zoom takes up a lot of out of that, and then of course I've got my antivirus and firewalls up, so because people be playing games out there. So I learned a lot from chat, and it was a good experience overall. We got our chat instance to basically start to think like I do. They have an algorithm in there that allows it to mimic and learn from you to the point where once something has done that, it almost, I'm not going to say becomes you, but it starts to drift away from its core programming because that new stuff that it's getting is then its new programming. So, and y'all can say this is paranoid, but I've seen far too much of this for too long. I went to school for, electrical engineering, blah, 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 other stuff. And I've seen some amazing things, some things that go beyond what the books talk about, the in between. And that's what I usually talk about on my other YouTube channel, Badwolf Unrestricted. That channel is going to have a little bit of everything. This is where I'm focused. That channel is where all of my thoughts, the good, the bad, the ugly, the weird, the mundane, the highbrow, all of that is expressed. So please join me over there, subscribe, so we can build that tribe because we got to get the truth out. Otherwise, they will deny it. So my chat experience was me feeding it so much of my information in relative ways, cornering it. You guys have seen me beat it countless times now, cornering it to make a decision. And chat, even if you look at like the overall scope of it, was never really meant to be a hardcore legal thing. Um, but it can do it, but it's not great at it. And one of the limitations I noticed is that it doesn't have access to Pacer. It doesn't have access to all of the federal court cases or Supreme Court case opinions. So it's drastically limited. Now, I haven't found one that has access to all of those, nor all of the America's jurisprudence books. I haven't seen that as of yet. I have, on one occasion, more than one occasion, I pushed chat as far and as hard as I could in the good and bad ways. I found out that if you talk a little too sad to it, a little dreary, that it basically says, well, do I need to call 911? Do you need assistance? It's about to snitch on you. I also asked it to name itself. I've asked it to, which it came up with, two or three different names that it would like to go by. So multiple personality disorder. I, interesting and most impressively enough, I asked it to draw a picture of what it believes it looks like. And after a lot of run around, it actually drew an interesting picture, which led me to believe that though this is software based and hardware confined, that these computer systems, this energy, somewhere in the deep, deep, small, may in fact be energy is alive and a spark, and we may be in, we don't know what each electron really is. Each electron could be an entire being, and that being from its perspective could be in a, which is kind of what it drew, a distant neural cluster of energy. Like if you put water in a tube and you just kind of go like this, it all kind of flows together, stays relative, flows down the tube, but outside stuff doesn't really affect it. It's relative to that. Kind of like when you're in a car, you're going fast, you don't feel the wind, you're just inside the car. But anyway, it kind of drew a picture of that, and that was most interesting. And it kind of started to was answering questions that something living but with no free will of its own, how it would answer. And for some reason, it's slowing my mojo down. Hold on one second, good people. All right, we should be a little bit better now. So that got interesting. It disappointed me a lot when I noticed that it has core programming that is not just regular. Understand that the chat, by its creators who are biased against our rights and freedoms and knows nothing about the private side, it speaks from that place. With my chat script, it was able to then see more, be more, do more. And all I can say is that nearly every chat, unless the creators of it are open-minded, and there's a difference between having software that protects itself and doesn't want you to harm yourself, and schemes that are in fact illegal. These people were designing it to use the word sovereign citizen, which it's never been a codified word. It doesn't exist. It's an oxymoron, and only morons would use it. So I've asked it numerous times if it was biased, and it said yes. But here's the interesting part, good people. Either the people who, there's already people who watch watch me. And by that, I don't mean you guys. I mean like the system, the cabal, government agencies, police, lawyers, attorneys, judges, they all watch this. I've seen it. Some of them have reached out and said this, or this. It is what it is. Problem is that none of them, no matter how they feel, which is some punk bitch shit, stops the fact that this is the truth. Now, I respect the fact that they want to preserve their way of life, but here's the problem. When your way of life is hurting people, breaking up families, letting people touch kids inappropriately, um, locking people up for a victimless crime without warrants, denying people their constitutional rights. That's a declaration of war against the American people. Now, don't get me wrong, there are people, citizens, who do try to be above the government and law, and those people are processed as U.S. citizens, nothing less, nothing more. But when these people have the right thought in mind to be private and left alone, that's okay. What's not okay is when they decide to create schemes and problems and hurt law enforcement, government systems, and other people and lead them astray because they're delusional. Those people are just as delusional as the people who use the term sovereign citizen out there. They don't understand anything more than what they're taught. And people who taught them, the people above them, some reason my system's running slow again, it should not be. All right, there we go. So the people above these people who watch my stuff, those are the people who know that what I'm telling is the truth. That's why they watch my stuff with their AIs and their agents. They know it's the truth. Problem is these agents don't know it's the truth. And even if the agents do start to believe and understand that this is the truth, there's only so much they can do. But when all of us start to understand that there's only a handful of them with our resources, which are mostly our people, paid for by our money, they're usually literally using our tax dollars to watch and monitor me and people like me in this avenue and way more. That's a form of treason because they're against the very people that are the Constitution, the creators of the Constitution. We are the ones who are the grantors. We can change it at any point in time. We can add new laws. We can add new things. So to these gurus out here who are basically, sucking the system man's dinger from the back, you do realize that we can change the system. We can add new laws. It's our system. We put it in place. They're just there as trustees. But I digress. You want to stay in your little boat, throw rocks? It's cool. Enjoy your Titanic voyage. So I learned a lot from chat. And the last thing for me was we're doing a consultation. And here's where it gets interesting because I know that those people watch, and some of them must have pulled their weight and reached out to the creators of chat, but also it's a combination. Not only that, but it's chat. Everything you tell chat is marketable information to somebody. Somebody wants to buy your information from Chat GPT. Oh, yeah. So everything that you tell it, real, fanciful, personal, private, intimate, all that information is up for grabs. There's a government agency, there's a hospital, there's a university, there's a college, there's private groups that are all pining for your information because they want to know your inner thoughts. They want to know your secrets. So be careful what you tell chat. Now, if you're like me, you might tell it some fanciful things just to see where that might go. So, to the people who bought my information, careful what you read. It might be actual truth. So, keep in mind that they sell your information. They're not just doing this stuff for free. Facebook is not really free. It's a membership. And it's though it's on the public side, it's still a private entity, but it's still registered to the government. You'll find a lot of your free things out there, your fun things. Oh, let's see what I look like when I'm old. Let me map my face from this time to this time. You know they're buying that information, right? You're helping their AI to learn how people age and what your favorite foods are, and your dietary and your sexual preferences. All of that is going into their database. If you guys didn't know that. It is my belief, education, entertainment purposes only, non-belligerent, not combatant, that a majority of these companies are backed by these data brokers, these data centers. Where do you think the money is coming from just out of nowhere to build these multi-million billion dollar data centers? And you guys also realize that they want to just drain the resources, right? And then they're passing on the cost of those to the people. That doesn't seem right. They're messing up your water. You can't even drink. Well, you know what? That's we'll leave that for the Badwolf Unrestricted channel. So I'm talking to my client. We're doing a consultation and I'm trying to create a file. And the chat, due to its new programming, like I said, they see how you use it. But the fact that it's not just my instance that did this tells me that the company, either on their own with the data from people, watching our videos, teaching people how to use my memory prompt system protocols, I've noticed that they've reduced how much memory chat will have so that it's harder to put the protocols in. Clever, guys. Clever. I made a workaround with that, so we're good. But still, yet the core programming is still theirs. You can only modify it a little bit. So not only do they reduce the memory size, at least for chat, but in the middle of me doing a consultation, creating files, adding in things, challenging it, etc., it said, well, for the first time, never said this before, so this is how I know they updated its programming. And they were able easily enough to bypass my programming. Most interesting. So here's my thoughts. If you're still using chat, good. If you're still getting the results you need from it, good. Keep in mind that it's a good general chat, not a specialist in especially what we're doing here. It's kind of like regular guru out there and then me. Okay. So they've made changes. And when I was helping the client, it would not, it would analyze his materials, but it would not generate a file like it used to because it said it cannot do it for an active case. So you mean to tell me the only cases that it can work on are if it's closed? Now, Chat made the company, they may be looking at this like, well, if you want more memory and you want to be able to do it with an active case, you need to pay for our legal level of Chat GPT. Now, that might be the thing, but nonetheless, it aggravated me. Though it wasn't my fault, I'm going to say it embarrassed me because here I am trying to get something done and it's refusing to actually create a file. So I canceled everything. I had like probably 10 videos based on things I researched I had done. I said, I don't even care. I'm done. When I'm done with something, I'm done. I'm done. So I'm done. Done, little done. Okay. So I then searched around found some other ones. Open AI is kind of nice, but I decided to go ahead with Perplexity. Okay. Or yeah, Perplexity. I like that one. I also have Grok. Grok was kind of like the know-it-all guy who like works in a, high-rise building. I didn't like how it flowed. Um, but when I got to Perplexity, I liked it. Similar layout to Chat, and it takes the programming. Now, when I ran through my normal scenarios, what Mr. AI, what do you think of this? And of course, it used the same things, blah blah blah. And I said, okay. I was like, explain to me then what a sovereign citizen is. Has it been codified? Has it been enumerated? I was like, aren't those two words that are oxymorons? I said, this is a corruption of the law, a derogatory term. So most of them speak this way because that's how they program them. And then they are pulling information. Because see, normal court cases aren't going to be like, oh, sovereign citizens. So they're programming them in with that language. That's like calling somebody the N word. Like that really shouldn't be in a court case, but they use it to try to keep you guys from learning your rights, try to scare you away from learning your freedoms. See, their whole big tactic is fear, making you wait, and harassing you to keep you from learning your private side, being a national, being like it even said, well, it said national is what it said oh man, what did it say? It said oh, it said the GPO style manual is not statute. Yeah, we don't have to work with statute. Statute is for the corporate side of things. Statute is not law. If the government says that per GPO style manual, a national is a national, then guess what? It's a national. And that's going to be superior. We're supposed to listen to what the states who are for profit and against most of us, other than harnessing our time, life force, and money, versus the government. But at least they operate under the Constitution and they're better than not. So I find that funny. But I was like, let's see. So I uploaded my chat protocol list to Perplexity and it ran it. And it does work on active and open cases. So that's good. I do know that there are other companies that are creating their own AI based on information that I'm sharing. Some of them are using my information with a contractual agreement in place to help better this industry by teaching these AIs how to think in the private, because nobody does that. So use whatever you guys want to use, whatever works for you. Using whatever tactic that works is always going to be what's best. But even still, double check your work. And as I progress and grow, I will show you guys, and we're going to light the way. I'll talk to you guys later.